over to Europe now. I mean, we saw what happened in the Conference League. England is dominating everywhere in Europe. 2-2. Started out with the Europa League. Aston Villa cleared that out, ending a 44-year wait for an European title. The Conference League was played earlier in the week. Crystal Palace won it again. Yes, a one-goal win, but a win is a win. Capping up a fantastic run for Oliver Glasner. Oliver Glasner having 2 European titles in his kitty, and also giving Crystal Palace 2 major titles back to back. They won the FACup. Now they've won the Conference League, and they are their first title in Europe. What do you make of the progress of English teams so far? We have about 9 English teams going into Europe next season, and the likes of La Liga, SerieA, they are struggling at the moment. I even saw a stat that the number of coaches coming from, the Italian SerieA is shrinking. You don't have younger coach coming in from that particular league. Their revenue has fallen. The final Rayo Vallecano's total wage is just 60% of the amount of money Crystal Palace spent. So what do you make of this, and what do you think other European countries can do to be able to catch up with the English side? I'll start with Solomon.
Okay. Thank you very much. Well, big ups to Oliver Glasner. He did a fantastic job at Crystal Palace, and I learned that he's leaving because he does not like the fact that the club is not ambitious enough, at least not to his own, level, or to his own tastes as he would want it, or as he would want them to be ambitious. So, big ups to him. He came in, delivered, and he's leaving when the ovation is very, very, very high. He will forever be remembered as a Crystal Palace legend, forever. That said, when we talk about, these other teams compared to what is it called now? Compared to the English teams, bear in mind that there was a particular point in time where it was Spanish teams that was also dominating Europe. We had Real Madrid winning the Champions League back to back. We had Villarreal winning the Europa League 3 times in a row. In that 3 times in a row, they defeated Liverpool, right? They defeated Liverpool. What's his name? Unai Emery left Arsenal, went back to Spain, and still won the Europa League again. So time and chance happen to all men, right? But another thing that has happened is money. Money. If we look at the French League On, for instance, there was a particular period in time where PSG could not chat to Olympique Lyon. Olympique Lyon was the creme de la creme of French football. Olympique Lyon won the French League One when Juninho was there. I think 4 seasons in a row. When Juninho, I think, 4 seasons in a row.
No, 9 times in a row. 9 times.
9 times in a row. See that? 9 times in a row. But Arab money came in and changed the face of the whole thing. Prior to 2013, 2014, yes, I remember. Where was Man City on the table? Was Man City a side to be reckoned with in English football? No. There was no talk of top 6 in English football until Man City came in. And how did Man City come in? They came in with money, Arab money. It was that season that they bought Zeko, bought Balotelli, bought, I think you see, the amount of Aguero, the number of players that they bought that season. It was the only reason why many people were even rooting for them to win the league. Because you could not have spent that much money in that season and not win. So I think that money has now come to play a huge factor in, I even saw, I saw one statistic now. I'm not sure if it is better, right? But they said that the money that Burnley is getting is much more than the money that Barca got for winning the La Liga.
True.
That's preposterous. If Burnley are relegating and they are winning, they are getting much more money than the money that Barcelona are getting for winning the La Liga, then something has to be done. The La Liga board now, the board of directors, they just have to find a way to, ensure that the La Liga side now, no, and not just La Liga. This is not just La Liga. I mean, it cuts across, as you said, the Italian SerieA. Funnily enough, at one point, the Italian SerieA had the best of players. If you are looking at Ballon d'Or winners, we're looking at them from SerieA and Spanish La Liga, right? We're talking of the likes of Ronaldinho, Shevchenko, what's it called now?
Even Zidane.
Nedved, then all of these players for these teams at that time. Inter Milan, AC Milan, big players, right? I think that maybe they are not able to market their players so well. That's a huge factor. Yes, somebody like Lamine Yamal is looking like the face of La Liga right now, if I'm not mistaken, right? But you also have the likes of Kylian Mbappe. You have the likes of Jude Bellingham. You have the likes of what's it called now? Ademola Lookman, right? And I dare mention Ademola Lookman because prior to Hakimi, he was the African best player. You cannot have that type of pedigree of player and not try as responsible to market him.
That's true.
La Liga has the technology. If you are watching a La Liga match, for instance, now they will be showing you everything on the pitch. They will draw semicircle, draw arrow on the pitch in a La Liga football match live. Right? I just think that they just have to try as much as possible to also try to allow for the other clubs to be able to compete. That's another thing. These other teams are not able to compete with the likes of Barca and Real Madrid, thanks to Diego Simeone, who came in and is able to do this thing with Atletico Madrid. All these other teams are not able to compete. That is why people will tell you that the EPL is much more difficult than La Liga. How many other clubs, aside from Barcelona and Real Madrid, have won the La Liga in how many years now? In 20 years. In 20 years. But in 20 years, for the EPL, Man City, which, as I said, were nowhere to be found prior to 2013, we've had Leicester City win it. We've had Chelsea do a comeback. And now Arsenal has won it for the first time in 22 years. So teams are competing. In the English Premier League now, 9 teams are going to Europe. 9. Sunderland, that came from relegation.
Yeah.
Because last season, the 3 teams that came from relegation, I think they went back. Sunderland are able to maintain their place in the EPL, not just maintain their place, but also qualify for Europe. That's a big deal. So across board, La Liga, even the German Bundesliga, with the way they are going, just Bayern Munich winning everything back to back. No wonder it is called the Farmers League. They need to find a way to ensure that these smaller clubs can compete. If the smaller clubs cannot compete in terms of finances, in terms of being able to get the players that they want, I mean, it's just going to continue to go downhill for them. Thank you.
Oh, okay, that's what I said. Let me come to you. I mean, if you look at the late 80s, the 86 to 90 Italian teams dominated. Yes, we know of the Hebrew disaster that led to English teams being banned for Europe about 4 years. English teams were not there. But not until when the EPL was launched, the changing from the English League to the EPL in 1992, that is when we begin to see the rise and the razzmatazz and the investment and the rest of that. And since that time till now, you could see the decline in Italian SerieA. Even if you watch an Italian game on a weekend, the stadiums are not full anymore. Players are not being developed. Italian teams are being knocked out of competition. You have 9 teams playing in Europe from England, while you hardly have 4 teams is coming from the Italian SerieA on the basis of them being one of the top leagues. However, there's a steady decline. What do you think is wrong? And do you think um, England might go the way of Italy? Remember, in about 33, 34 years ago, Italian teams were dominating. Now we are not seeing them, and it seems like England is hitting the peak. Do you think the same thing that happened to Italy might probably happen to England as time goes on?
Okay, so first and foremost, what's happening in Italy is very, very disheartening and heartbreaking. Now, what is happening is lack of exposure. And I told a friend some while back. I said the problem in Italy is lack of exposure. Now, Italy are relying on experience and not exposure. And in this current era of football, you need exposure plus experience. You understand? So that is why you have a whole lot of in fact, one of the reasons why Premier League is where it is due to exposure. You understand? Adapted by management. You get me? So we can actually say the EPL is spending money. No, apart from spending money, you understand? There's an impression the management of the Premier League give to the clubs in England. You understand that? You know what? There's no small. You know these days now they say there's no small club in England. You understand? So imagine if fans can be saying that there's no small club in England, and the management also enforcing it to the clubs that come. There's no small club. You understand? So having that impression at the back of their mind is also a ginger for them that you know what, we are not small clubs, we are not pushovers. You understand? So having that at the back of their mind is a plus. Let's not just talk about money. Okay, let's go back. Let's go to League One. Understand? PSG have a Champions League match to play against Bayern Munich, right? Sure. And they also have a match against Lens. So PSG said they want to rest players. They wrote to the league management, you understand, to postpone their match with Lens so that their players can rest. You understand, for the match against Bayern Munich. Lo and behold, the league granted their request. What is that message telling clubs in League One? You understand? So it's
that you don't matter
about money. What is that message telling clubs? That PSG. You understand? About PSG. Yes, I understand the fact Champions League. You understand that yes, the French stand to be recognized, but you don't do things that you don't write a letter to. So it cannot happen in the Premier League. You understand? It cannot. You just have to talk about it because there's no small club, there's no pushover. So if the league are making you know that you know what, we are only in for PSG. The rest of you're on your own. That league will develop, and you wouldn't even be surprised that in the next 10 years PSG will win it. You understand? Now let's go to La Liga. This is the same impression too that is going on in La Liga's management. The level of concentration, Barcelona and Real Madrid. You understand? So since the concentration is on them, the rest are on their own. I will not say it is because of money. You understand? Because going back a decade ago, the top clubs were Spanish teams. Barcelona with Ronaldinho, Samuel Eto'o, and Messi. You understand? They had the likes of Raul. You understand? They always had these players. You understand? They've always had this impression to win. Imagine Sevilla winning 3 Europa League back to back. Yeah, you understand? True. Unai Emery came back to La Liga, won the same trophy with Villarreal. So is it about money? It's not about money. This is the same Unai Emery that also went to Aston Villa to win it. So who do say it's about money? You understand? So it's not about money. It's about the man impression to the players, to the teams. You understand? Okay, imagine you see, the most disheartening one is SerieA. Now something happened something is happening in SerieA in the last few days now. Could have been moved the chess game, the puzzle. Because of terrible performance. I've watched AC Milan this season and I can tell you they've been terrible all throughout the season. Yes, they get wins, but they are terrible. Imagine as a coach, you are sitting back. They are playing 3-5-2. So up front, there's no 9. You understand? So they are playing 3-5-2, and then you are sitting back, waiting for counter attacks. You understand? If you are meeting Hellas Verona, you are still sitting at the back, waiting for Hellas Verona to come at you before you can score. That is not sustainable level of football. That's not even sustainable at all. Now, AC Milan decided that, you know what, this coach, we don't want you. If I back that Juventus in a second stint, now getting to AC Milan, he got sacked. Guess what? More or less than, not up to 14 days, Napoli has gotten him.
Yeah, true.
Mauricio Sarri left Lazio. He has gotten to Atalanta. He has gone to Atalanta. True. You understand? So if these managers that are struggling with tactical involvement, because tactics has evolved. True. You understand? We can see that in the Premier League. You can see teams playing high press. You can even see teams like Wolverhampton even trying to get possession of the ball. You understand? That's to show you the exposure that they've got. But it's not there in SerieA. And in SerieA, they don't use wingers. You can see they didn't even go to the World Cup. You understand? True. Because it is transcendent. Whatever is happening in the league is also telling in the national team. They don't use wingers. And in this era of football, it has passed the level where you are playing 3-5-2. Almost all Italian teams switch it a bit is Fabregas. You understand? And Fabregas is not Italian. You understand? He's the one still trying to use wingers, Allegri entering into AC. He has turned Rafael Leao, who is a natural winger, has turned him to a 9. Simply because he wants him to fit into the game. Look at Inter Milan, so they play 3-5-2. You understand? When you look at Juventus, they play 3-4-2-1. You look at they play 3-4-2-1. You look at they play 3-5. So all of them are playing pattern of football, and it is not working. It is not evolving. It is not working at all. You understand? And the management have not even come to realize that we need the exposure. It has gotten to a point whereby no shame. Go outside it, you'll get it. We are talking about the Premier League. Yes, Premier League is wonderful. What made Premier League what it is? Are foreign managers, not even English managers. Well, managers. We're talking about Arteta. Arteta is Spanish. Guardiola is Spanish. Klopp is German. You understand? Even Alex Ferguson is Scottish. He's England. You understand me? So these people are coming in to evolve. If you look at Real Madrid and Barcelona too as well, not in Madrid, not a lot of Spanish managers made it in Madrid. To be honest with you, those that made the most in Madrid are foreign managers. You see Ancelotti, who is Brazil. You see Mourinho, who is Portuguese. You understand? You see Zidane, who is French. You understand? Bringing this luxury now. You understand? So having luxury of exposure, and until when AC Milan realize that they are decaying, it's not as if they don't have talent. Yes, and they have talent, but when your pattern of play is not helping to the players' exposure and talent, it is going to be very, very difficult. And that's why you see clubs are struggling to get players from Italy. Imagine Manchester United got classic player. It's not clicking, it's not even working. You understand? So clubs are scared now of getting players from Italy. Why? Because they put enough tactical managers, and when the manager is tactically exposed, that's when he can impact on the players. You understand? So it's just for Italy. They realize that we come and reshuffle coaches. You understand? You cannot be you cannot be reshuffling coaches. Okay, look at it now. Oliver Glasner of Star Palace is leaving Star Palace. And you are not being linked to any English club, despite being very successful. You are not being linked to any English club. You understand? The idea, the impression is, let's get somebody else. Even he himself go out to test himself. But Italian coaches don't want to go outside. They feel comfortable inside. You understand? They are inside that it's okay. Anything is okay. And that's why you see only Inter Milan are trying. You understand? Because they've created a setup. But it's not enough that an Italy that was known as Juggernaut, you understand, and now struggling like a League One. You understand? So it's very disheartening. Solomon spoke about money. Money is paramount, but I think management is also very, very important. You understand? The management impression towards the club also matter. Yes, imagine in Germany, Niko Kovac, Borussia Dortmund's manager, came outside to say they cannot match up with Bayern Munich because Bayern Munich are spending. Who said that? There's an impression he has gotten that they cannot match Bayern Munich, but he has forgotten that Bayern Leverkusen not spending anything. What that shall be alone. So they went on beating the whole season. So it's not about money. It's about the impression that the clubs are getting. So imagine how in fact, to be honest, I thought Borussia Dortmund would sack Niko Kovac for that statement, because you as a manager, the direct rival to Bayern Munich is Dortmund, and now you as the Dortmund manager are saying you cannot match Bayern because they are spending. Let's take away our the impression of spending. Chelsea has spent a lot of money. Where are they? Manchester United has spent a lot of money. They've not won the Premier League in over 10 years. So it's not about money. It's not about money now. Some of these things is just management setting. You understand? If the club management gets this right, you understand? If the league management, if La Liga tomorrow, now I can tell you, if La Liga tomorrow comes out now and say, you know what, there's no small team in La Liga, I can tell you that Villarreal might even challenge Barcelona for the league. If Ligue 1 comes out tomorrow and say, you know what, there's no small team in Ligue 1, I can tell you that even Lens went toe-to-toe with PSG this season now. He went toe-to-toe with PSG to challenge for that league. But that impression where PSG requested for the match to be suspended or to be postponed, Lens countered it and said, no, we don't want the match to be postponed once it's played. Guess what? They listened to PSG. So that impression alone has already killed the morale of Lens. So all of these clubs, all of these clubs, their picture will be that let's just qualify for the Champions League. You understand? Collect our own money from Europe and mind our business. That's just it.
Okay.
So now you can see the Premier League now, you have 9 clubs going to Europe. Why? Because they feel they're not small. We are not small clubs. So until when other leagues adopt the methodology that there are no small clubs, it's not just about money. Yes, money is important. The Premier League have spent money, but until when we adopt the mentality that there are no small clubs, and until when SerieA, Italy realize that they need the exposure, 980 in 2026, you will be thoroughly beaten with that 30s. You understand? And that is what we are still waiting with, and hopefully, I think the national team, the president has resigned. A whole lot of people have resigned because they know that they've taken the Italian league and the Italian Football Federation backwards. So hopefully, the new people that will come will be people that are insightful, that have exposure. You understand? To realize that football has gone beyond just 3-5-2, 3-5-2, 3-5-2, 3-4-2-1, 3. You understand? So that's just that on that.